Oh, good Lord. Ah, good Lord. Yeah. I hate when it's like a heat wave day out of nowhere. Oh, it sucks. Not ready for it. I got this stress and shit. Not fun. Oh, damn it. I gotta. No. Wait. Oh, God. I missed my appointment, didn't I? Fuck. Yeah, I did. I'll go reschedule my fucking dentist appointment. Oh, wait, no. That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna go there early and see if they fit me in. There we go. I get. Alright, this is my. Oh, wait. I'm going the wrong way now. Oh, shit. Oh, good Lord. I just went back on the freeway. And I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, wait. We can figure this out. We just get off on the next exit. Julie Nunez, huh? Nunez. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Can I get out of here? Let's go this way. See what happens. Whoa! Let's go up this way. Whoa! Get out of here. Oh, Lord, good Lord. Good Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. This road will take me somewhere. It's not too fast now. It's slightly south of the residential. It's a road, you know. It's one of those roads that are named road, you know, because it's a road. Oh, don't tell me it's going to take me right back on the freeway. Oh, good Lord. Oh, just move me right back around. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. Oh, good Lord. All right. It's a bright, sunny day. It's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. I can see clearly now the rain's gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gonna be fine and apart. Gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. A little bit R&B there. Gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Oh. Big wheel keep on running in Memphis, looking for the man every time and day. Oh, no, every worry. I can't. Feeling it's a ride on Riverboat Creek. Big wheel keep on burning. Oh, crowd never keep on burning. Rolling on the river. Man, a lot of people in Memphis, living downtown, people who live in Tennessee, people on the river, happy to give now. If you keep on burning, oh, crowd never keep on burning. Oh, rolling on the river. Dun-dum-dum, dun-dum-dum, ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Wait, I'm totally lost now. Oh, shit. Oh, good Lord, where am I going? It's in a fucking beach, and this is St. Barnabas. St. Barnabas, so I go that way, right? I got it. I'll figure it out. Here we go. I really need to learn those lyrics to that song because I love that song so much. Okay, Google. Display the lyrics for Proud Mary. Whew. Oh, good Lord. Oh, boy. Is this the street? Oh, no, not that one. Oh, good Lord. I spent a lot of money. But it's all, knickknacks. I don't know. Not all of it is necessary, but, you know. Good Lord. Oh, then I gotta start work. Yay. Do the Jira shit. It's really just sitting down brainstorming right now and taking notes of like what I'm doing. So I squeeze through there as I can. Thank you very much. There. At 2 o'clock, I gotta call those people first. Tomorrow, I gotta make a note of that. Tomorrow, I go to the dentist's office. I should call him and see if I can do that. I really need this shit fixed. And then I don't know. I gotta fucking Cancun and get the Mexican dentist to work on me. After the next page. Oh. Good Lord. Good Lord. Hey, we gotta figure out this cheap shit. I mean, you go there and then, you go there and then, I mean, she can stay there and then kind of do a Mexican kind of semi-vacation working there. For the man, time of day. There we go, I'm going to gas. Okay. I got out. Suction cup. I probably just need to put some kind of. You know. He is there. Someone's calling me. Let's see what it is. Who is that now? Oh, good Lord. Who is calling me? Oh, no. Who is calling me? Where's fucking. I can't see where it's coming from. There it is. Who's that? Who's that now? Get around. Oh, good Lord. Oh, PB. Oh, my still recording. Oh, good Lord. Oh, nature calls. Nature calls. Oh, oh, Lord. All right. Let's take all this stuff out. Oh, my head. This guy comes up. Good Lord. Lord have mercy. Okay, let's put that back on. Okay. 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 Bam. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Let's see what message they left. If any. Hey. Oh boy. Ah, man. I got the other. Okay. Turn around now. Good God Almighty. Okay. Oh my God. Trying to fix the hair. Oh, wait. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Yeah, we need to get a better hairstyle now. Oh, that's good enough for now. This is classic. I really chop my pomp down though. I don't like that. I don't like chopping a pomp. Oh, good lord. Alright, good enough. Alright. If I can do that. I like doing that. I like doing a little Superman thing. A little curly cue there. A little squiggy. A little greasy thing. If I can get it right. Some random amount of hair. Something like that. Something like that. I don't know. They like so much fiddlesticks. There we go. I think I got it. I think good enough. Good enough there. Alright. Something like that. Alright. Thanks for joining me in the bathroom. Let's get a little light in there. Let there be light, as God said. Oh. As God said. As Jehovah said, we should say. Not God, Jehovah. His name was Jehovah. His name was Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. His name was I am, right? In Hebrew. Ancient Hebrew, I am. Yahweh. That was his name. Why does this say pip? I don't even know what. Wait, what does that do? A video, audio, image. I can just adjust shit here. Let's just do. That's my mic and an image here. Oh, I can add an image. Let's add one. Let's see what happens. Subscriptions on what I'm talking about. Oh, bye. Effects here. Can I do an effect? What kind of effects? Oh, it's going to say, oh, you didn't buy it. What? Now, all in one pack. Select a subscription. I got to subscribe for this crap. All right, screw that now. All right. I should do a video of this. All right. Good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Oh, comb that back. Oh, move that. Oh, all right. Get that one up there. Something like that. That's good enough, right? Something like that. Yeah, good enough. Really need a better hairstylist to really get the precision on the cut on my head. You know. This person just kind of was a barber and just butchered it. It's better than it was. I guess it's just perfectionist. You know. I'm gonna get a haircut. You know, may as well look good, right? Right. Get it. Oh. Quite a morning I had. Wow. Should I talk about it? Should I divulge the dirtiness of it all? Should I? Shall I? Shan't I? Could I? Would I? Should I? Blould I? Swould I? Red eye, pink eye. I spy. My little eye. KY. Makes me cry. I wonder why my eyes are so dry. It's because of this guy. He was wearing a tie, and he was caught in a lie. He was a bit shy. He likes to eat the fry. The fry guy. I wish he would die. So I let out a sigh. And now I say goodbye. How would you like that stream of rhymes there, huh? It's a good exercise on the brain. It's not me really rapping. It's more me
what would you call that? It's not rapping. Rapping, it has more of a rhyme and meter, right? You're gonna have the meter, it has to have the rhythm. Not necessarily meter, but rhythm. Now there's meter in rapping. It depends on the artist. But it's just some form of poetry, maybe like you could say in form of prose, even, depending on what English professor you talk to. But yeah, just rhymes. It's poetic. It's poetry. It's poetry. I would say poetry. Lyrical, lyricism, fanaticism, banana fanaphotism. I'm tired. Lacking sleep. Up all night. Strip club to... What did I do right after that? I sat in my car talking to girls. Then I finally decided then I found a massage parlor at 2 a.m. That was open 24 hours. That was legitimate. Legitimate! They took, and they overcharged. They wanted $100 for half an hour. And there's no rub and tug. What? I tipped them too. They're attractive women anyway. It wouldn't have been it was kind of weird, creepy, I don't know. I was kind of hoping, because yes, last night I really had a lot of libido, charged up kind of sexual angst. I really needed something more than rosy palms to take care of me, something a little bit more. And then I ended up meeting a woman this morning, more money for not that. For, I don't know. I was really on a bender for some kind of sex, Oh, and then before that, I spent so much money after fucking, I don't know, I must have blown through $200 at the fucking, at the MGM National Armor. I was just, I don't know. You sit there and it's like, I'm gonna win. I can't stop. That's the problem. You can't stop. Eventually, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop after this. I really am. I'm gonna cut my losses. I'm glad I did. I got some willpower when it comes to that stuff. I should not have gone there, but terrible things to do when you're desperate. When you're kind of lonely and horny and bored and by yourself. What are you gonna do? You're gonna do something that is hugely addictive, something that feels good and has consequences, like gambling. Yeah. Did I drink last night? Yeah, a little bit. Actually, not that much. I'm actually winding down from Adderall. Adderall yesterday. It kind of lasted too long. I really need to switch to modafinil, which is, I'm going to order that. Modafinil is way better at really windowed drive, focus, energy, concentration, gusto for performance, cognitive performance and work performance. Yeah. Sit down, white collar work performance. So, yeah, so I'm going to order some modafinil. Get that stuff. And then I don't have to use something so strong like Adderall. Which is not bad, but it all depends on the psychology, right? So if you're in I'm lonely, I'm bored, you're going to self-medicate. What else are you going to do if you got nothing else, Bored at sitting at home playing fucking video games all day. You need some kind of, you get laid, you need to hang out with somebody, you get some chicks going up. I had nothing. And I rented a fucking get around, and I got around, So, I still have money in the bank. It's like I'm supposed to be penny pinching, but, it's all it's a work in progress. It's getting better, definitely. So as soon as I get the basic needs met. I have transportation, I have stable housing, I have a social life, I'm going out and I'm talking to ladies, and there's no more things to medicate so much. And then it's just like, I feel good, I'm okay. And then drinking is just like something you do, you go out to enhance, that's really what it comes to. It's just bad when it's like you're not feeling good and then you got to do something to feel good. That's the evil snowball it can be. So, but I'm working on it. I get the basic needs met, get copacetic. I'm working through my post-traumatic stress, with the family, with the brother, and the crazy brother is doing shit. And my mom, who's a subject of abuse, and I can hire a lawyer now. That reminds me, I have to do this loan work. I'll do that today, tomorrow, and then. Okay, so I'm finished in the bathroom. And we're going to start our work day now, because I started at around 9 a.m., 9:30 Pacific time, but I'm on Eastern because I'm in sync with the crew and the team over centered in LA. So, which I have to go to, which I'm resolve the legal shit, and which I will. And next paycheck, I should be able to have enough to get those defense attorneys to take care of that shit so I can go back there and do all the other stuff to work my way back into my mom's life and home and get my brother where he belongs, in front of a judge. In front of a judge and being sentenced. Being sentenced. Having judgments against him. Well, his health is failing, which is great. But it's just, I want justice, man. I want justice before he died, That's what I'd like. I may not get it, but I'm going to try. If he just killed or died, it would be nice, but it would be like his ghost would fuck with me, Because I couldn't get. It's not even about getting even. It's about getting justice. It's about having him, having what goes around comes around to fucking, feeling vindicated, feeling closed on him. That he got his, and he wonders, he won't learn his lesson because he's antisocial personality disorder. He's, that psychopath type of person. He's more, so there's if anyone was watching, so getting into clinical psychology, right? Which is not I'm not an expert now because I'm not I'm not a clinical psychologist PhD guy, but I have studied under clinical psychologists at one of the top clinical psychology schools in the world, UCLA. I was a psych major, and I studied abnormal psych there, and as well as psychology throughout my life, as well as having psychiatrists and psychologists that I converse with, and on top of volunteering and sitting in on medical school psychiatry. What are those called? Not lectures. They're when there's a forum, so they when they kind of it's not a class, it's more like they come around and talk about a certain subject. So I was doing that with psychiatry, a psychiatry course in Geffen School of Medicine, and as well as volunteering and working and being tutelaged by clinical psychology professors, and I'm very well versed in this shit, beyond a lot of people who are, go to Mickey Mouse College and get, a degree in psych or MFT or whatever stuff, I've surpassed them, really when you put against modern science, modern psychology, that is based on cognitive and behavioral models and evolution and hard science and statistics, and it's no longer soft science. It's like very firm, tested, uh, working models. Very solid models of how shit works up here. That schools. Schools and puts to shame, like all the psychodynamics and stuff, feely stuff that a lot of people are taught in uh, psychotherapy school or whatever. A lot of whack shit, a lot of the Freudian shit, all that Jungian shit. It's antiquated gobbledygook. A lot of it, it's just antiquated models that weren't really good science, because they were not testable, models and hypotheses and, theories that, we could replicate and, test with data, and just more like pontification from the ego of Freud. A lot of his ideas were good. They're, but they were not based on anything. They're just conjecture and not really tested. And now we got all this shit that's really tested, So that's where I come from with my education. So it's just like now by the I have a BS in cognitive science and with a buttload of fucking psychology and philosophy and anthropology and computer science under my belt, as well as some music and then a lot of book education, a lot of self-taught reading shit through my 20s and as well as all that stuff. So with my official degree as a bachelor's, I know more than a lot of people with masters and even PhDs in psychology, because their education is just, what could I call it? Not gobbledygook, but just I don't know. It's really just kind of antiquated. It's just it's like a physicist today trying to going against someone from, I don't know, 15th century science, where they're alchemists and shit, and they believe that there were 4 elements, and they go, no. There's a periodic table of elements, and these are all the elements. Those are actually states of matter, 4 states of matter, but they apply to all the elements. And so I digress. Anyway, where am I going with this? There's a lot of just what people call, what this woman call Mickey Mouse College. There's a lot of shit that people are taught still at psychology schools, become clinical psychologists, and yet these colleges are not dealing with 21st century up to date shit. They're dealing with still Freud and shit, which is psychodynamics has its place, but research. Okay, I'm really going off on a tangent. Why am I even bringing this up? Psychology. I know it. I know it pretty well. Yeah. And going back to my brother. Okay, so we have what? We have these clusters of traits that cluster, and we label them as disorders, and they're now in psychiatry and clinical psychology, they're all categorized in this diagnostic statistical manual of the DSM. And so they're really just okay, you got this trait, that trait, this trait, that trait, you're this. You fit into this thing. And so some of the axes and all the stuff that goes on with what's considered a a psychiatric disorder or an abnormal psychology or dysfunction, all that stuff. There are personality disorders in the category of personality disorders, and there's those are subdivided into three different subcategories, subclasses of personality disorders, A, B, and C. Now, the B category fits three different diagnoses, three different clusters, and all of them cluster up to that subclass called a cluster. Yeah, and it's a clusterfuck, but that's called cluster B, right? And you got over here you got the borderline personality disorder, people who see black and white everything, like, get like really angry and hatred, and the next guy they're cool, and yeah, they can't. It's either they're your friend, or you turn against them. They don't want to talk to you ever again. Everything's black and white, and they're very unstable with their sense of self, all this stuff, and they kind of consume with themselves a lot, but they're not so they're paired because they're considered the cluster B's personality disorders are the what are they called, the dramatic, I think. No, A is dramatic, right? I don't know. But they're really the ones that are the most chaotic and trouble causing in relationships and social context, because next to them are the narcissistic personality disorder, which is narcissists are very selfish. Their whole world is about them. They're kind of like one way of kind of modeling their psychology on average is they're stuck emotionally. They're childish. They're like, anyone who's under 7 years old, under 8 years old. Before kids go to school and learn how to socialize. Before then, when they're home, little kids are just all about them. That's all they can think about is that. And then narcissistic personality disorder kind of falls from where these kids are stuck there, and then they grow up and they're still like that, But everything's about their ego, them trying to be important, because they have this dichotomy of being really insecure and not knowing themselves, not seeing themselves, and then they have to overcompensate with a grandiosity and putting others down and status and all this shit, and very selfish people and very manipulative, and I've had my share of them. My brother has so personality disorders, even though you got these little diagnoses, this little what do you want to call them? These little centroids of traits, these labels, right? These funneling, or these gravity of traits that form another cluster, right? And a cluster around a psychology that fits, even though there's variance and all this stuff. So you got the three major personality disorder diagnoses, psychologies, but they're not. There's no line between them. So some people can have traits of another personality disorder. So they can sometimes, it's they can be on the cusp. They can have a mixture of two different personality disorders. My brother is So the third in this cluster B is antisocial personality disorder. These are who have been labeled psychopaths, like psycho, killers, all that shit, and sociopaths, killers. Psychopaths are not necessarily killers, but sociopaths are definitely usually not very sociable people. They are outsiders. They are usually criminals. to hustle, to use people, to, and even though narcissists use people, sociopaths are very, they're kind of crazy. Right? Psychopaths, so you have these two different labels within antisocial personality disorder. So they're kind of like, these are the older, antiquated terms, the psychopaths and sociopath. And then people have tried to kind of like go, oh, they're not the same thing. Well, this one refers to this kind. And then both of them are outdated terms for antisocial personality disorder, which is the umbrella, right? But some people still like to try and say, oh, antisocial personality disorder, but like is more like a psychopath. I'm more like a sociopath. So those terms still float around. A psychopath is more usually labeled someone with antisocial personality disorder, someone who is doesn't feel guilt, doesn't feel remorse, doesn't have a need for bonding with others, doesn't have empathy, just like narcissists, no empathy. So the difference with psychopaths and sociopaths, psychopaths are usually much more calculating, in control. Like Ted Bundy was a psychopath, you could say, because he was very, like how he planned out how he kill people. Because what these people at antisocial personality disorder is that they have no, because they get nothing out of social relationships. They feel very empty. And so did narcissists to some extent. There's emptiness there. That can't. So what did these antisocial personality disorder psychology individuals do to feel good or to feel something? Is to they start doing things like to get reactions from other people. Like my brother, for instance, he's 12 years older than me. So like when I was an adolescent, he was already an adult. Right? He was already out of military school, out of the army in his 20s when I was like 12, and he was so screwed up in the head, and he was placed as like a guardian of me because he was an adult, right? But like in his head, he was crazy, and he had a need to take out his anger on me, and so severely gets off on like hurting other people and laughing about it. That's his thing, you know. This was his thing when I was a kid. He was a child abuser. He was a child abuser. He abused me as a child, and he got off on it, and then when I was like severely like suicidally depressed from all the abuse, I started going to see a therapist, and then he would say, oh, everyone gets depressed. You don't need to go see a therapist. Like he was trying to deny that he did anything, so much so that he would like say like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine, and you don't need to go to the therapist. Like you don't, like you're wounded. You don't need to go to a doctor. Stay wounded, but you're not wounded. But I don't want you to go to a psychologist because that means I did something. You know. And that was his whole craziness. And then he would buy me gifts, you know, very like lavish gifts at Christmas, and then he would think that like that made up for everything that, you know, all the things that caused me to fucking want me to hang myself or kill myself as a fucking kid, you know, to escape the fucking misery of how much she tortured me mentally. But I outgrew all that. Anyway, boy oh boy. And now it's like redux, you know, like, because he realized he couldn't intimidate me anymore, and then he had to like fuck with my life legally, you know. But so he's more of a sociopath in the fact that he can't manage money. He spends money. He's very impulsive. Sociopaths are more impulsive than psychopaths, but it's all impulsivity is not necessarily a trait of antisocial personality disorder. It can be, but like if you have it, it's like, you know, if you're more impulsive, you're out of control. Anyway, so that's his deal. That's my brother. I mean, that's just part of, you know, me just kind of giving a nutshell of his psychology and what he's doing. And anyway, so fast forward, all the crazy abusive shit that he's done recently to my mom to me, and then to my mom, which also affects me because I have to witness it. And it's like when you see someone you love and you can't do anything, and they can't, and no one's doing anything, and you just have to like watch your mother being tortured. It drives you fucking crazy after a while, especially when no one you know is like willing to go and step up and help. And then there's like people in denial or being like fucking having the veneer, having everything drawn over their eyes by my brother with his whole, smear campaign and bullshitting and hiding, the covertness and stuff of his abuse. So that like my family, extended family members had no clue, So it's usually that's the case with like psychopaths and narcissists. They're very manipulative, cunning, but the only people who are really aware of their true self and their fucking antisocial behavior, and when I say antisocial, I mean the true sense of the term antisocial. And like a lot of popular terminology, antisocial, popular use of the term antisocial has been antisocial means like you don't want to socialize or something. That's not antisocial. I'm using the term in the scientific psychological, social psychological frame of meaning anti, which is against, and social meaning people. So against people. So like people who steal, people who kill, people who use, criminals, they are antisocial. They are doing things that are harmful to others for their own gain. That is antisocial behavior. And that's the way I'm using that term. So, yeah, he's still like that. He's hiding so much, and there's so much that's been hidden, and I just want it all exposed. I want my family to really, my extended family, especially my sister and my brother-in-law. I think there's this term called flying monkeys. Like when a narcissist is like playing other people that are like related to the people, the focus of their abuse, and they will use these people as what's called abuse by proxy. So they use these people to like fuck with them even more, and they're usually either clueless or in on the abuse. Now, I don't think my brother-in-law and sister are in on the abuse. I have my suspicions that they've been in on the money that my brother has been taking from my mother, and $300,000 of her, of her assets. Well, she's like in a conservatorship she doesn't need to be in, and like held hostage in her own home and prisoner, really. It's just the amount of stuff that he's done is just, and the fact that like, and then he turns me into the bad guy because I was associated with my ex who had a drug problem. All of a sudden, I'm the druggie now because because I'm actually, it's the opposite. When you have a drug addict in a relationship and you have a codependent, the one taking care of the drug addict, the one trying to save them. That was me, on top of my brother doing this shit. So I'm being accused of being the drug addict when my ex is a drug addict. And she's not even like a drug addict like 100% of the time. It's just like she'd relapse, and then I'd be like fighting with her, and then, I'd be all this stuff. I'm dealing with my brother and his fucking shit that he's doing to my parents and using them, and then turning my family against me, and then all the smear campaign, which is a narcissistic abusive trait or typical form of abuse from narcissism. Make like the good guy and make their victims, the bad guy to everyone else. So they do this thing where they're to the outside world, to the people who don't live with him or them. They don't see what's going on, so they just see like, oh, he's a stand-up guy who went to the fucking, blah, blah, blah. And they're clueless. Sad. It wasn't until like I actually went to a domestic violence support group, and like I just heard, which was awkward and weird and even more hard for me to be a straight man, a man who was a victim of domestic violence, and I'm going to these groups where it's primarily women who are being, assaulted and fucked with and same type of shit that my brother's doing to me, have like, you know, boyfriends and husbands and shit that are doing to them. And so, like, you know, these were my sisters, and it was just weird when I heard like this woman sitting next to me, and she's like, yeah, and then he put a restraining order on me, and then, like, you know, and then he was like calling me, and you know, all the shit that my brother did. This is the most fucked up things that like a narcissist can do, right? Or any abuser, like domestic abuser. Restraining orders, like domestic violence restraining orders, are a piece of, they're a tort. They're a piece of law, right? They're a function of law that they're statutes that were developed to protect victims from abusers, right? To protect people who lived with people who were severely abusive, especially physically abusive, right? That is domestic violence in the domestic, right? And then you have people like my brother who are the domestic violence people, the abusers, the ones who like assault me, like my brother's hit me and all this stuff, and you know, drag my girlfriend out by the arm and, like, you know, manhandle my mom. And he's just it's just a piece of shit, right? And then he goes around and to get me out of my mom's house so that he can have it to himself, so he can have control, so he can stick it to me to fuck me in the ass to boy, is that he filed a restraining order on me, saying all this bullshit, saying that I was is domestic violence, saying that I'm like whatever, and that he lives there, so that I get a move out order. That's what happens with domestic violence restraining order, is that the person is forced to, like, by a judge to not be able to be at the home anymore, right? They're forced to move out by a decree of the judge to protect the so-called victim. Now you have an abuser who comes and says, who doesn't even live with you, and says to a judge, I do live there. He's the abuser. Get him the fuck out of there. So now I'm homeless. On top of being abused, I'm homeless, and I have him constantly fucking with me, prodding me, and goading me to try and react so that he can use it as a weapon to put me in jail for violating the restraining order that he should never have had, because he's the abuser and I never even lived with him. Right? So, which is all, I have all documents of it, but like when you're homeless and you have an abusive fucking partner, and don't have family anymore, and your extended family has been pushed away, your parents are too isolated and controlled, and have like the abuser with their thumb on them, and controls who they can talk to, and who can call the house, and who can come over, and who can know the truth, and you know, and then my mom's bullied into, like, you know, take anything or do anything, because she's dependent on my brother to take care of her, and she's like scared. Isn't that fucked up? That's my mom, and it's her son that's doing that to her. For what? Because he's a psychopath. He's a psychopath. He's not normal. He's crazy. He's deranged is the term that would fit best. He's deranged. And I've had to deal with all this shit. Post-traumatic stress, you know, like with a full-scale PTSD. I mean, sometimes I'd be so messed up that it would take me like weeks and months to just chill out and get the stress going, relax, you know, nurse myself, and then, you know, and then the post-trauma traits would like dissipate, you know. But in the last couple of years, shit has, I mean, the things I've experienced, like the fact that, like, I've been homeless, you know, that I've been like homeless, like that I had all these fair weather friends. I had all these people that, like a car accident, like, just watch. No one would let me in their home. No one would let me stay at their place long enough for me to get a job and get back on my feet. So I'd be like, and then I had a severely abusive ex-fiance who was like, having like people look for me to kill me, you know, like putting a hit on me when I was homeless. You know? And then I had a business partner I was starting a company with, and then he was not really treating me well.